What's up, y'all? You know who this is. I'm on my lunch break right now. Just got a few minutes to go before I do my radio show, and got a lot of stuff on my mind. We just finished doing First Take. Just dealing with this nonsense. Look, I'm no political aficionado. I've got friends in the business on the right and the left, from Joe Madison and Dr. Michael Eric Dyson to my man Mark Lamont Hill to Mark Thompson to the great Karen Hunter, Sirius XM's Urban View Radio. I know a lot of people over there, Channel 126. Some of those folks are friends of mine, and they're certainly more knowledgeable about the world of politics than I could ever hope to be. So I'm not trying to step on anybody else's toes or anything like that. On the right, I know Sean Hannity. I know Mark Levin. I think they got great radio shows. Sean's case, obviously, is a top-rated television show. I don't get into all of that. They got a political tilt to their things that I don't necessarily agree with about 70-75% of the time. But I've got some conservative views or whatever, but I'm not even trying to go there. When I talk about the president, I'm not even trying to go nuclear. I'm not even trying to talk about the ignorance and, you know, the racial insensitivity and all of this other stuff. It's just that at some point in time, you just can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. You know, I'm fully aware of the fact that LeBron James once called him a bum. And I don't subscribe to that. I don't care who the president is. You don't talk about the commander-in-chief in that fashion, relatively speaking. But this dude is on another level. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'd give anything to sit down with Trump. I'd give anything to sit across from Trump one-on-one and ask him some of these questions. Nothing about politics. Just in terms about his actions against the NFL owners, his actions against NBA players, the motivation behind it, et cetera, et cetera. I'd give anything to have that discussion with him. He won't do it because sitting across from me is an entirely different animal. At least that's my opinion. Having said all of that, when LeBron James did what he did in terms of calling the president out for his divisive tendencies, it was factual. Because there is no doubt that this president is divisive. Now, does LeBron James and others need to get a bit more specific in what they're talking about? Sure. Get specific about immigration. Get specific about that wall. Get specific about how farmers don't want welfare. They want trade, like Governor of Ohio, John Kasich, pointed out on This Week with George Stephanopoulos yesterday morning. Get specific about the tariffs. Get specific about business with China and NATO, and how his posturing and his bloviating might be compromising this country. I think that at some point in time when you're going to tackle these issues and you want to get into all of this stuff, you got to be able to say specifically what. So his constituency, which spans tens of millions, 62 million people voted for this man, y'all. You don't want to give folks an excuse for just saying, well, the athlete called him a bum. What's wrong with him turning around and doing the same thing? No, you want to go a bit deeper than that. You want to go a bit deeper than that. I just think that at some point in time, we talk about bringing things together, bringing people together. These are the issues that we have to address. But more importantly, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We got to get smart. And by the way, I'm about to talk about all of this on my radio show, the Stephan A Smith radio show on ESPN, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific. I'm about to talk about all of this. I'm really getting sick and tired of people calling the president a racist because I think you're falling for the okie doke. That's real easy. That's real easy. You know why? Because if you deduce his positions, his tactics, and everything else just to racism or racial insensitivity, you're letting him off the hook. And you're feeding his constituency who obviously disagrees. Because you're not delving into the facts and the minutia and the substance of the things that he has done to highlight what it is that you feel. And as a result, you're giving him the avenue to be evasive, to evade away from collusion, to evade away from the Russia investigation, to evade away from the trade situation, to evade away from the terrorists, to evade away from immigration, to evade away from the economy, even though right now the economy supposedly is doing well because there's more labor participation, although there is not an increase in wages. All of these kind of things are things that we need to talk about. We don't need to run from it. We need to tackle it. We need to tackle it not just with courage, but with some degree of substance. And what we don't know, point folks in the direction of those who do know. I don't know. I suspect. And I read. And I try to educate myself. But I know I don't know as much as Joe Madison does. I know I don't know as much as Karen Hunter does. I know I don't know as much as Dr. Michael Eric Dyson does. And Mark Lamont Hill. And Mark Thompson. Or an Anderson Cooper. Or a Wolf Blitzer. Or a Don Lemon. Who President Trump unfairly insulted. In my opinion. You can say you disagree with him. But to call him dumb, But then he did say it about C.E. Cup. He did say it about Anna Navarro. He did say stuff about Stephen Colbert and Chris Cuomo and others. So I get it. But all of those things are things that I'm willing to talk about. I also want to talk about LeBron and how LeBron is wrong to say he'd never sit down with him. I disagree with that. He's the president of the United States, whether you like it or not. He has incredible power, whether you like it or not. And if you could sit down with him with elected officials present with you on both sides of the aisle, who knows what change you might be able to affect? Because after all, if we know one thing about the president, he's narcissistic. And he's about what he wants. And if you show him that he has a way of getting what he wants, but it also works to your favor, why not entertain it? That's the real world, ladies and gentlemen. There's something else I'll talk about on my show today. Of course, I'm going to get into the Hall of Fame speech about T.O. That's a given because he was right with what he said about the media, and I'll touch on that. I was proud of Randy Moss. I'll tell you why that's the case. Ray Lewis was Ray Lewis, no doubt, my bruh. He was handling his business. I get all of that. Brian Dawkins, proud of him. Brian Urlacher, too, proud of him. All of those things are things that I'm going to talk about as well. Urban Meyer. He might end up keeping his job at Ohio State, especially if you listen to my man, the mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum. That's something else that we'll touch on today as well. Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract. Got to talk on that. The list goes on and on. It is what it is. By the way, Eakin32, thoughts on Deion Waiters and MVP candidatism this season? You smoking something? Stop that. Stop that nonsense. TK Brandon, Michael Beasley is the real GOAT. Stop. I like Beasley, but come on now. Get it together. Get it together. Victor Goldberg, you got LeBron, right? Do you mean Shiggy? LeBron James is a LA Laker. LeBron James, your king. I ain't talking about a game here. I ain't talking about the series here. I know my man Shiggy somewhere watching. Anyway. Got to get on out here. Got to get ready to do my radio show. Obviously, I got lots to talk about, and I'm hyped to do it. Stephan A Smith Show, ESPN Radio, coming up in just a few minutes. I'll holler at you then.